Welcome to episode 91, Being Brave. Hey, y'all. Last week I mentioned that these two episodes would be short. Even though life is happening outside of business for me right now, I want to share my thoughts and connect with you. Last week I touched on vulnerability. Vulnerability, in my opinion, is the precursor to being brave. It's almost as if being brave starts by knowing the limits of what you can control and by knowing that there's always a chance that things could go a little off track. You take several deep breaths and you move ahead anyway. That's how I feel about my mother's transition into memory care. From the moment 5 years ago that we began on this pathway, I knew this intersection was ahead. A big part of me thought that there would be signs indicating we were approaching the memory care intersection, that someone, maybe a professional perhaps, would say, in 3 months, it will be time. Yet, as with many things in life, that's not how our story goes. Each of us is called upon in different ways to be brave. Yet I don't often think that we take the time to acknowledge how messy it can look. The hero archetype suggests that someone who is brave steps into the role with purpose and conviction. They push through obstacles no matter what. They approach their villain wearing their inner strength on the outside. Resolution often involves a majority of the obstacle being overcome and many of the puzzle pieces being better understood or put back together. But what if being brave had less to do with this stereotypical approach and instead was more about deciding to get up and start doing the hard thing day after day? What if being brave was about no longer waiting for those external road signs indicating that the intersection of change was ahead? Unfortunately, this model often doesn't come with fanfare or a tidy resolution. This type of bravery is more relatable, and it exists all around us. Today, I am inviting you to give yourself credit for how it shows up in your life. You're more organized than you think. For example, perhaps you're one of the folks who's decided our culture of drinking has reached an excess and decided to cut back. Perhaps you're someone who's been brave enough to dedicate a year or more to decluttering pile by pile, drawer by drawer, to call for the dumpster instead of worrying what your neighbors will think. Perhaps you're someone who's repeatedly revisited hard conversations in order to build better personal boundaries, to persist when running your small business feels like a daily struggle. Or maybe you're advocating for and caring for someone living with a disability. Perhaps you're beginning to think about leaving an unhealthy partnership, considering curbing your shopping for status habits, or thinking through any number of other radical lifestyle changes. What I do know is that you are either being brave right now, or you're one decision away from being brave. This deserves acknowledgement. You deserve credit. I'm giving it to you, and I invite you to give it to yourself. Living life, caring for others, managing a home, and making it work is hard. And by choosing to do it day in and day out, you too are being brave. Talk to y'all soon.